I like that.
Hello. Good evening. Welcome. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Howdy.
We've got Existential Gamer and Expired Milk here this evening. And hello to everybody in the chat. How has your days been, both of you?
Yeah, good. Expired milk, you probably have more exciting news, but I just, I work and I work from home and that's my day. Yeah.
Well, I've had a nice break on tour. We checked
Good.
into this hotel 3 days ago, and I have not left my room, and it's been great.
Oh, very good. I'm so glad that you're getting some hotel time to yourself.
Yes, I have a nice view of the pool, so I can like pretend that I'm sitting out there,
Uh,
but I haven't actually gone down there.
yeah.
Nice view of the pool. Very good. Very good.
Hey,
Love a good
sometimes
water feature.
you just gotta like rot in bed for a while to recover.
Oh, I
Yes.
did. The entire first day, I was just asleep. Then I'm like, oh no, maybe I should go catch up on YouTube. Then maybe I should turn on CNN. Then I did and said, I'm gonna turn off CNN.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I did, well, I worked today and absolutely nothing of interest or excitement happened.
Mm.
So there's
Yeah.
that.
Sounds like my days.
Yeah.
But you know,
Hey.
this might be the day when a magic rabbit pops out of a portal and says you're the chosen one, and you need to come with it right now to save the
Hey.
universe.
Almost
Well,
46 goddamn years hasn't happened yet.
hopefully the magical rabbit can wait until we're done. So,
Oh yeah. That would be very rude of the rabbit. I'm busy. Destiny can wait.
yes. Hello, chat. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. So, yeah, we can get started here. I found this article in the New York Times. Um, so, yeah, content warning for the stream. There will be discussions of sexual violence, physical violence, death. So, if that's not for you, feel free to check out. But yeah, we will get into this. And so, like, what do I want to say? I want to say that like streams are usually fun and silly and we laugh at gendies and that kind of thing.
Mm.
But I also think it's important to just kind of know what life is like for women with different experiences to the typical North American woman. So, yeah, I wanted to look at what's going on in Saudi Arabia for tonight's topic. Sound okay?
Yes, it does.
All right.
Let's learn something.
Let me figure out my new platform growing pains here. Okay. Okay, I need to just adjust things here so I can still see the chat. All right. So, yes, this article is from the New York Times. It's linked in the description box if anyone wants to read it themselves or whatever. But it just starts with a portrait, and Faith Shamila Marunga says her boss groped, beat, and raped her. Mary Wanjiru Nyambura says she was thrown from a balcony.
Holy shit.
Winfrida Kwamboka never even made it back home. So that's pretty heavy already. So, why maids keep dying in Saudi Arabia? East African leaders and Saudi royals are among those profiting off a lucrative, deadly trade in domestic workers. On any given day in Kenya, dozens, if not hundreds, of women buzz around the Nairobi International Airport's departures area. They huddle for selfies and matching t shirts, discussing how they'll spend the money from their new jobs in Saudi Arabia. Lured by company recruiters and encouraged by Kenya's government, the women have reason for optimism. Spend 2 years in Saudi Arabia as a housekeeper or nanny, the pitch goes, and you can earn enough to build a house, educate your children, and save for the future. While the departure terminal hums with anticipation, the arrivals area is where hope meets grim reality. Hollow cheeked women return, often ground down by unpaid wages, beatings, starvation, and sexual assault. Some are broke, others are in coffins.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I knew very little about this whole topic until I found this article. Had you ever heard of anything like this, Expired Milk or Existential Gamer?
No, this is my first foray.
Yeah,
Me
not
too.
not this topic specifically, but I guess somewhat similar might be the articles that came out around the last World Cup and how they would be
Uh,
importing workers from other countries to
right.
go to, where is it,
To
Qatar,
Qatar.
Qatar, yeah, and all sorts of, like, again, unpaid wages,
Yeah.
mysterious deaths, all that sort of thing.
Yeah. I think I had heard about, um, I don't know if it was Saudi Arabia, but another Middle Eastern country where I guess it wasn't African maids, but it was, I think, like Filipino or Cambodian or something, some an Asian country anyway, where typical when you arrive, your passport gets taken away and then you're like fucked forever, which is so scary and
Yeah.
awful. It's horrible. Um, okay, so let's see. I've heard about maids. I saw some in Tanzania. Tanzania or Tanzania? Ooh, really depends on the families. Far be it for Saudi men to pick up a broom or change diapers.
Real though.
Yeah. So at least 274 Kenyan workers, mostly women, have died in Saudi Arabia in the past 5 years. What the hell?
Yeah, my first thought about this is like, if enough women are coming back, like, you know, beaten and starved and stuff, but women are still flocking to the, like, is it that people are covering up what really happens? Like, or is the
Right,
prospect of maybe winning the lottery, so to speak, and getting a amazing family or something, is that enough to,
right.
because the
To make
poverty is
it
so, yeah, like it's
quote
like a
unquote worth
lottery,
it.
right? I don't. It's just
Yeah, I think just the way it's probably advertised wherever they're from is kind of different,
Mm-hmm.
or like intentionally misleading. Like, I read something, again, not the same but
Mm-hmm.
similar, for migrants from South America, but mostly Central America, trying to get through the Darien
Yep.
Gap and kind of what that journey would be like. And they're pitched one thing, but the second they get there to be transported by like the cartels and stuff, things go south real quick for
Yeah. Oh
them.
my God. I read or maybe watched. I've watched a documentary about the Darien Gap crossing. Um, and one of the women there said like the chance of sexual assault on that journey is significantly high. And the woman that
yeah.
they were interviewing on this documentary at the time said she knew that it was a high risk and that it probably was going to happen, but she said that she could survive being assaulted, but she could never survive the crossing without the assistance of the coyotes. So like it was a risk she was willing to
Wow.
endure, and that like just
About a
spoke to like the desperation to get away from where they're leaving.
bargain if I
Mhm.
ever heard one.
Yeah, awful. Um I'm not as paying as close to attention to the chat as I probably could be, but I see that you're all speaking in there, so thanks. Okay, let's continue. So yeah, this number is crazy to me. 274. Yeah, an extraordinary figure for a young workforce doing jobs that in most countries are considered extremely safe. Right, like being a housekeeper, being a nanny.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah, I do wonder, like, I find it interesting where, I guess, like, for this article, they're focusing specifically on Kenya, I wonder if there's more people coming from Kenya than other places, or if there's some sort of deal that has been made between the two
I see
countries.
Ugandans mentioned too.
Oh, yeah.
So at least 55 Kenyan workers died last year, twice as many as the previous year. What the fuck? That's so crazy. Autopsy reports are vague and contradictory. They describe women with evidence of trauma, including burns and electric shocks, all labeled natural deaths.
Yep. My
One,
viewpoint is now going towards conspiracy, cover up.
yeah, clearly. Um,
And just, a corrupt system in
Right.
general.
Yeah. Like maybe their pockets are lined by these Saudi royals or whoever they are.
right. Well, and yeah, when you have a like the cultures, absolute power corrupts or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
many or most people who live in Saudi Arabia are extremely wealthy.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true.
um, one woman's cause of death was simply brain dead. Yeah, but how? Like, you don't
Yeah.
just become brain dead. An untold number of Ugandans have died too, but their government releases no data. There are people who are supposed to protect these women. Government officials like Fabian Muley, vice chairman of the Labor Committee in Kenya's National Assembly. The powerful committee could demand thorough investigations into workers' deaths, pressure the government to negotiate better protections from Saudi Arabia, or pass laws limiting migration until reforms are enacted. But Mr. Muley, like other East African officials, also owns a staffing company that sends women to Saudi Arabia.
There it is.
Hmm.
Ding, ding, ding.
Okay. One of them, Margaret Matthew Mwini, said that her Saudi boss had seized her passport, declared that he had bought her, and frequently withheld food. When she called the staffing agency for help, she said a company representative told her, "You could swim across the Red Sea and get yourself back to Kenya."
Oh my God.
What the fuck?
So it's basically government sponsored
Oh,
Yeah.
trafficking.
yeah. Oh my god.
How soulless do you have to be?
Right. Right. And also, like, this comment here from Lamb, it's not like the African government really care. Maids get killed lots and beaten too from jealous wives. Like, this is 2025, but Lamb's comment just takes me back to like plantation owners of the South slave trade. Like,
Yeah.
it's the same getting beaten by wives for being jealous and shit. Like, my God, that's so fucking fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this is Dorcas Sumbao Munyao was sent to Saudi Arabia by a company owned by a government official. And then Margaret Menui was recruited by the same company, and that her boss had bought her. Jesus Christ. So in Kenya, Uganda, and Saudi Arabia, a New York Times investigation found powerful people have incentives to keep the flow of workers moving despite widespread abuse. Members of the Saudi royal family are major investors in agencies that place domestic workers. Politicians and their relatives in Uganda and Kenya own staffing agencies too. The line between their public and private roles sometimes blurs. Mr. Muley's Labor Committee, for example, has become a prominent voice encouraging workers to go overseas. The committee has at times rejected evidence of abuse. Like evidence? You're rejecting evidence.
Yeah, because they have a financial incentive to
Yes.
ignore it.
Last month, four Ugandan women in maids' uniforms sent a video plea to an aid group saying that they had been detained for 6 months in Saudi Arabia. "We are exhausted from being held against our will," one woman said on the video. The company that sent her abroad is owned by Cedric Nazaire, an official with Uganda's governing party who is identified in Ugandan media as the brother of the president, Yoweri Museveni. Like, it's all just corrupt government.
Yeah. Powerful, rich
Mhm.
men pretty much owning these women and giving them as slaves to other powerful rich men and their families.
Yeah, it's straight up slave trafficking. What the fuck?
Yep. Because they don't have to pay these women.
Right.
Oh, and what Lee just said, this sounds like Indian oligarchs funding brothels. I had not heard about that before.
Where is Lee's comment?
Uh,
Oh, here we go. India. I have not heard of this at all either. What? Say more. How do I? Oh my god. Forgive me. Frickin' learning StreamYard still. Or I mean, Restream. Okay. Nearly every staffing agency refused to answer questions or ignored repeated requests for comments. That includes Mr. Millie, Mr. Nzer, and their companies. Kenya and Uganda are deep in a years long economic slump. And, like, why could that be? Could it be from exploitation and colonization of European countries in Africa?
Yep.
And remittances from foreign workers are a significant source of income. Even after other countries negotiated deals with Saudi Arabia that guaranteed worker protections, East African countries missed opportunities to do the same, records show. This is so depressing. Like, just not caring at all. They have the chance to make it better and they just don't.
Yeah.
So, outside a domestic work training center in Kampala, Uganda last year, remittances from foreign workers are a significant source of income in the country.
But
And
income for whom?
well, yeah, I
Clearly
mean,
not the workers, not the women.
right. Um, yeah, they're promised, like it said earlier, promised enough money that they'll be able to build a house and send their kids to school. And who's actually getting the money?
Arugula in the chat mentions those parties in Dubai where OnlyFans models.
Yes.
There was a recent story about one of those women who was found, like, who was missing for 10 days, and she was found on the side of the road with like broken limbs and a broken back.
Yeah.
And she
wow.
survived, but so far there hasn't been the word on like what happened to her. But the last thing that her friend heard from her was that she was going to one of these parties. So yeah.
Sorry, you sound a little bit underwater.
Oh, is this better?
Much better.
Yeah.
Okay. I think my microphone was in the collar of my sweatshirt.
Oh. No worries.
Ooh, you have a news anchor mic.
It's actually just an old iPhone headset with the old jack that they used to have.
Old school.
Yeah, but it fits right into my computer, so
That's all you need.
yeah.
So, studying at the training center in Kampala, classes can include Arabic lessons as well as practical skills like how to operate washing machines. It's so like, ugh. There's no way for women to progress or make enough money to sustain their families at home, right? And so it's so sad that this is like the only opportunity for the potential of advancement, right?
Yeah,
And
so high
it's,
risk.
yeah, exactly. It's so freaking sad and awful. Okay, so Kenya's Commission on Administrative Justice declared in 2022 that worker protection efforts had been hindered by interference by politicians who used proxies to operate the agencies. Undeterred, Kenya's president, William Ruto, says he wants to send up to 500,000 workers to Saudi Arabia in the coming years. Okay, but why not work on investing in like the opportunities and chances for a good life at home? Like,
Yeah.
Probably because Saudi Arabia is offering some sort of
yeah, of
that
course.
check.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's pretty much slavery. I mean, if you think about these
Oh
women have
yeah,
no power, so it's like the highest maximum profit because there's no workers' rights in this situation. There's no fair wages, obviously.
yeah.
Mm. So yeah.
So one of the president's top advisors, Moses Correa, has owned a staffing agency. Mr. Correa's brother, a county level politician, still does.
So much conflict of interest everywhere.
Ugh. A spokesman for Mr. Ruto, Hussein Mohammed, said that labor migration benefited the economy. He said the government was taking steps to protect workers, including weeding out unlicensed recruiting firms that are more likely to have shoddy practices. He said that Mr. Correa, the presidential advisor, has no conflict of interest because he does not work on labor issues.
That's fucking bullshit.
Oh my God.
That is bullshit.
In Uganda, recruiting firm owners include a recently retired senior police official and Major General Leopold Kayanda, a former military attaché to the United States. Recruiting companies work closely with Saudi agencies that are similarly well connected. Descendants of King Faisal have been among the largest shareholders in two of the biggest agencies. A director of a Saudi government human rights board serves as vice chairman of a major staffing agency. So does a former interior minister, an investment ministry official, and several government advisors. Holy shit, man. Together, these agencies paint a rosy picture of work in Saudi Arabia, but when things go wrong, families say, the workers are often left to fend for themselves. Kenyan housekeeper Eunice Ashieng called home in a panic in 2022, saying that her boss had threatened to kill her and throw her in a water tank. She was screaming, "Please come save me," her mother recalled. Miss Ashieng soon turned up dead in a rooftop water tank, her mother said. Saudi officials said her body was too decomposed to determine how she died. The Saudi police labeled it a natural death.
That's wild.
That is
Yeah, just
crazy.
found in a water tank, died of natural causes. What the F?
Yeah, it's clear cut what happened, but there'll be no justice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Lamb says Africa is so corrupt, man. I blame religion and patriarchy. It's old fashioned misogyny there. Saying this as an African. Also, I think the effects of imperialism, colonialism, exploitation, certainly. Like if these countries had not been ravaged by European colonialism, they wouldn't be resorting to these kinds of um, means of survival. So that's Eunice, who died on the day she left for Saudi Arabia. She was found dead in a rooftop water tank.
On the day
Well, this
she
is the day
left.
she was left. This is
Oh,
just
I
a
see.
photo of her in the plane. Yeah.
Oh, I see. I misunderstood. I was like, she died the first day? Oh my God.
Lee asks, I wonder if any women murdered in Saudi Arabia have their deaths ruled a homicide.
That's a good question
Hmm.
because these cases are pretty open and shut if someone were to actually investigate them.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I just briefly, quickly Googled Saudi Arabia homicide rate, and it said in 2019, Saudi Arabia had a homicide rate of 0.83 victims of intentional homicide per 100,000 population. But it doesn't say anything about women.
Hmm.
I have to look into it a little bit more in depth. But yeah.
Yeah.
Um, One young mother jumped from a third-story roof to escape an abusive employer, breaking her back. Another said that her boss had raped her and then sent her home pregnant and broke. Oh my God. In Uganda, Isiko Moses Waiswa said that when he learned his wife had died in Saudi Arabia, her employer gave them a choice: her body or her $2,800 in wages. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
How monstrous is that?
Oh my God. Like every fucking paragraph is worse than the last. My God. That is so effed up. Um, I told him that whether you send me the money or you don't send me the money, I want the body of my wife, Mr. Wisela said. A Saudi autopsy found that his wife, Aisha Mimi, was emaciated. She had extensive bruising, 3 broken ribs, and what appeared to be severe electrocution burns on her ear, hand, and feet. The Saudi authorities declared that she had died of natural causes.
Of course.
Yeah, you know when you naturally get electrocution burns?
Yeah. So natural.
Rachel says they literally put a price tag on a woman by saying that. Lee, I'm about to change my view on the death penalty. Yeah. Roughly 500,000.
Oh, you cut out.
Wow.
You're gone. It's just us now.
Only us.
Poor Radical. She's had tech issues all night.
Yeah.
We
No,
can't hear you.
you.
You cut completely out.
Come back to us.
Nope.
No.
Yeah. Julie says sound is gone. Is the sound gone for me and expired milk, or I think it's just Radical?
Oh.
Lee says they called Zuck to shut. We've been zucked.
Yeah, no, the feds are here in Canada. The 51st state.
Yeah, right.
Hello?
Oh, wait, we hear you. Yes, you're back.
You've been
What the
returned.
freaking heck, man?
I don't know. What happened?
I don't know either. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're good now.
What on earth? How rude.
You
I
gotta make
swear.
sure there's no Teslas outside your house.
Yeah. Watch
Honestly.
out for the men in black. Sneak around.
Well, I'm currently house sitting at a house that normally has really good Wi-Fi, but it wasn't, so I hotspotted my phone and it seemed to be fine, but now Lee, do not. Oh my god. Good grief. Sorry about that. Big trans took me out.
Oh no.
Oy, okay. Well, sorry. Let's continue.
I think you cut out right where it says roughly 500,000 Kenyan and
Okay.
Ugandan workers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for your patience. So, roughly 500,000 Kenyan and Ugandan workers are in Saudi Arabia today. Wow, the Saudi government says. Most of them are women who cook, clean, and care for children. Why do they need this, though? Like,
Right.
you know, it's like Go ahead.
Or like, yeah, that's why I said whenever I hear about this region, like Saudi Arabia, but Middle East in general, they're always importing people from elsewhere. So I'm just kind of wondering what day to day looks like there, and why this is needed, and where are the Saudi Arabians? What are they doing?
Right. Well, and especially because, like, in Saudi in particular, like, most everyone is extremely wealthy. And I think, like, most women don't work, like, outside the home, I guess. But yeah, why do they need to import so many individuals to take care of them? I don't know. It's very strange. So journalists and rights groups who have long publicized worker abuse in the kingdom have often blamed its persistence on archaic Saudi labor laws.
This reminds me of back in the like the Victorian times and before, how even middle class families were expected to have like servants, maids. Yeah. I mean, and also the men. I mean, let's not just blame it on the women, right?
Oh no.
They get it from all sides, though. It sounds like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the rape and abuse from the men, and then they get no help or worse from the other members of the household, probably.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is that gentleman who lost his wife and wanted her body returned and their children.
Bare minimum man right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Alpha says, I have ancestry from Mauritania, and they were the last country to abolish chattel slavery in the late 1980s, and they only criminalized it in the 2000s.
Wow.
Yeah. So the Times interviewed more than 90 workers and family members of those who died and uncovered another reason that things do not change. Using employment contracts, medical files, and autopsies, reporters linked deaths and injuries to staffing agencies and the people who run them. What became clear was that powerful people profit off the system as it exists. Of
Yep.
course.
Conspiracy right there. It's a cover up.
The interviews and documents reveal a system that treats women like household goods, bought, sold, and discarded. Some company websites have an add to cart button next to photos of workers. One
Oh.
advertises Kenyan maids for sale.
Jesus Christ.
Ugh,
Yeah, and they know they're not gonna. There's no consequence for killing your maid, clearly.
you
So they
bought
could
her,
just
so
right. You can just order another one, and nothing will ever be done.
Yeah, so it's
right.
kind of like they're depending on the high turnover, not even turnover, murder,
Yeah,
to line pockets.
yeah.
Jesus Christ. A spokesman for the Human Resources Ministry in Saudi Arabia said it had taken steps to protect workers. Any form of exploitation or abuse of domestic workers is entirely unacceptable, and allegations of such behavior are thoroughly investigated, the spokesman, Mike Goldstein, wrote in an email.
I'm sorry, Mike
Mike
Goldstein.
Goldstein is the Human Resources Minister in Saudi Arabia?
What's he
Yeah.
doing there?
Huh?
Also, no, because clearly not. Clearly not.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
This is
Even if they say it's unacceptable, they don't do anything about it. They either just don't or they can't because there's too many financial vested interests in not doing anything about it. So they won't, you
right.
know?
Yeah, thoroughly investigated when everything is labeled as death by natural cause.
Yeah, right.
Are you
When
sure?
there's clearly forensic evidence everywhere and there's a clear cause of death, but they just, oh, she's just brain dead. It's just she woke up that way one day.
I know
Yeah.
fictional dystopias are inspired by real life always.
Oh yes.
Mhm. Yep.
But literally, Ariana, what are you doing here?
Who is this guy?
Yeah, like Mike, is it like Mike from Jersey?
Yeah, right. Mike Goldstein grew up in the cornfields of Iowa. What the fuck?
I have to Google this. Mike Goldstein, Saudi Arabia. Like what?
Unless is it a pseudonym? Like what is this?
Well, when I Google his name, Mike Goldstein, Saudi Arabia, it's mostly this article that comes up in various results, and then a LinkedIn profile for a freelance communications advisor providing counsel to governments and private sector organizations. So I guess that's him.
Okay, so he's really a contractor, you know.
Yeah.
Somebody they probably hire to do the PR spin.
Yeah, and just look the other way.
Right, yeah. It's
Exactly,
canned for
Rachel.
sure. Yes.
Okay, so he said the government had raised fines for abuse and made it easier for workers to quit. Okay, but when you take their passports, then
Right. How are they going to get back? Even with passports, like, do they have their wages? Like, can they get back?
oh
Yeah.
my god, I bet he does.
Yeah.
He said domestic laborers were capped at 10-hour workdays and were guaranteed 1 day off per week. Woohoo!
Wow, 10-hour workdays,
So
6 days a week.
a minimum of 60 hours a week. Okay. All right. He said the government now requires employers to pay their maids through an online system and will one day track people who repeatedly violate labor laws. One day it'll come.
Yeah, one day. Not now, though.
Workers have multiple ways to report abuse, unpaid wages, or contract violations, including hotlines, digital platforms, and direct complaint mechanisms, he said.
Yes, just send your complaints into the void, and we
Right.
will get to them never.
Mhm. No, you mean one day.
One day.
Wow. So, but Milton Turiasima, an assistant commissioner with the Ugandan Ministry of Gender, Labor, and Social Development, said that abuse remained rampant. We get complaints on a daily basis.
Yeah, no shit.
So, recruiters fan out across East Africa from impoverished hilltop villages to the cinder block neighborhoods of Nairobi and Kampala, the Ugandan capital. Right, this reminds me of it's on the tip of my tongue and it's not coming to me now. Fuck. But like, yeah, essentially like, oh, it reminds me of what the fuck? My brain is not working. Like like the super exploitative adoption practices in China, where like families are promised that like their daughters are going to go to great and loving homes, but they're often just like kidnapped and exploited.
Oh.
Yeah, I've heard of, or I've read a couple things about that. Or they're promised like good jobs, but really they're just being trafficked. Great. Oh, and that happens a lot with like women from Eastern European countries too, who are promised like domestic jobs in the UK and are
Oh.
really exploited. Yeah. So let's see here. They search for people desperate and ambitious enough to leave their families for low paying jobs in a country where they do not know the native language. People like Farida Nasenga, a slim woman with a warm but detached air. We are really poor, Miss Nasenga said, sitting outside her one room concrete home in Kampala. Meals are cooked on a propane burner in the alley beside a trickling sewage gutter. She shares a triple decker bunk bed with her mother and children.
Oh.
So that's her. Yeah, and the key word here too is desperate enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy to exploit desperation. Miss Nasenga said a friend introduced her in 2019 to an agent from Murphy International Recruitment Agency, whose co-owner, Henry Tukahirwa, recently retired as one of Uganda's highest-ranking police officers. Miss Nasenga agreed to move to Saudi Arabia for a job paying about $200 a month. She found her housekeeping job as pleasant as recruiters had promised. She had her own room. The woman she worked for sometimes even helped with the chores. Then, one day, she said her boss's husband walked into her room and raped her. Afterward, she said, he kicked and slapped her. He threw her underwear at her as she retreated to the kitchen, Miss Nasenga said. When she became pregnant, Miss Nasenga's boss accused her of sleeping with the husband. The Saudi family put her on a plane back to Uganda, said Abdullah Kayande, who runs a legal aid group that is trying to get compensation for her.
Oh my God.
Miss Nasenga knows her employer's name, but not her phone number. The only records that she has are from the recruiting agency. Ruth Karungai, who owns the agency with her husband, the retired police official, said that when Miss Nasenga showed up at the office with an infant, the company contracted the Saudi partner agency, which did not respond. How convenient.
Yeah.
The company then notified the Saudi embassy. We trusted that they would address the case through proper diplomatic channels, Ms. Kurungi said by email. She said she did not know if anyone had followed up. Now, Ms. Nasanga is back sharing a one-room home with her mother, her two children, and her toddler, a boy with a notably different complexion and hair from his siblings. Ugh. Saudi Arabia has a wage hierarchy for foreign workers, with East Africans near the bottom at about $200 to $250 a month. Over the years, some countries have fought for better wages and protections for their workers. The Philippines, for example, negotiated a deal with Saudi Arabia in 2012 that raised wages. I think that was what I had read about was Filipino maids who were having their passports taken. Anyway, that sent staffing agencies looking for cheaper labor elsewhere.
Of course.
Of course.
Few Ugandan workers arrived in the kingdom in 2017, Ugandan government data shows. 5 years later, the number was 85,928. African governments stood to benefit from remittances. Mr. Muley's committee called on Kenya in 2019 to embark on a rigorous campaign to market Saudi Arabia as an important destination country for foreign employment. The current notion that foreign workers in Saudi Arabia go through suffering needed to be corrected, the committee added.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like the suffering's pretty apparent.
Yeah, but she wants to get the money.
Oh my God. Ugh.
So, Wanakombo Ngao was hospitalized in a mental institution after returning home. She has no recollection of what happened in Saudi Arabia.
My God.
Esther Karumbo Morenga said her Saudi boss abused her. Now she says her uncle beats her for returning home without money.
There's
Ugh.
really no way out.
Misogyny abound.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
what the
you
fuck
got
are you doing to get money, uncle? Like, what the fuck?
right. Yeah, for real. Like I was literally
You
thinking
fucking
that.
go over and be a laborer in Saudi Arabia. Jesus.
Yep. I think that's very interesting that like all these grown ass men are relying on these girls and women to go over and
Yeah.
just put up with it. And this is like when people are like, "Oh yeah, we live in a post-feminist world. Misogyny's over." Like, look at the whole world.
Yeah, take a look at what's going on in Uganda and Kenya. Like, what the fuck?
Right.
Post-feminist world. Get out of here.
Mm-hmm. I know. It always makes me laugh and roll my eyes because clearly you don't pay attention to world politics
Yeah,
and you shut your ears to the misogyny happening on your home turf, so you're an idiot.
yeah, yeah. That's why it's like important to me to like talk about these things. Oy. So Josephine Uchi says she worked a demanding housekeeping job while also caring for a Saudi family of 12. She was allowed 4 hours of sleep a night.
Oh, God.
The African countries provide a new and lower cost services market, one of Saudi Arabia's largest staffing agencies, Mahara Human Resources Company, wrote in 2019. Some of King Faisal's descendants, through a holding company, have been important shareholders in both Mahara and another major staffing agency, Saudi Manpower Solutions Company, or SMASCO. Oh my god. I feel like I saw something about Mike Goldstein and SMASCO when I was Googling. Maybe not. Oh no, it's a different company. Never mind. Well, no, I think definitely trafficking absolutely happens in the West.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not
Doesn't seem
trafficking in African maids, but
right.
there's
It doesn't.
definitely trafficking happening here.
Yeah, it's not so openly and flagrantly done.
Right.
Yeah, the government cover-ups are definitely not nearly as blatant in the
Yes.
U.S. At least in the U.S., they try to keep up appearances.
Yeah.
So Al Mawarid, yet another big staffing company, also has deep government ties. Its chairman, Ahmad Al Rakban, was executive director of administration for the Saudi National Guard. The chief executive, Riyad Al Romazan, is chairman of a government backed industry council. Tariq Al Awaji, a former top official at the Interior Ministry, is a company director. Another board member until recently was an official in the investment ministry. Like, it's so blatant.
Oh yeah.
In recent years, Al Mawarid has paid about $4 million to acquire workers from Macro Manpower, the firm owned by Mr. Nazaire, the brother of Uganda's president, corporate filings show. East African recruiting agencies make money from per worker fees from Saudi companies. Those companies, in turn, get fees from people who hire maids. Dun, dun, dun. Al Mawarid's chief executive, Mr. Al Ramazan, declined to answer questions. What do you got to hide?
Mhm.
So, Mary Nascimenta, a single mother with big, mournful eyes, cleaned house for a family with 5 children in Najran in southern Saudi Arabia. She said the children, ages 9 to 18, hit her with a stick and put bleach in her eyes.
Even the children are assaulting these women.
Several women told the Times that they were assaulted with bleach or forced to soak their hands in it as punishment. Jesus Christ. According to Miss Nascimenta, her employer was stingy with her salary. After she repeatedly asked to be paid, she said the family locked her on a third-story rooftop. Houston is the trafficking capital in the U.S. I've seen some stats claiming there's 100,000 people, mostly women and girls, live as slaves. I have heard that as well about Houston.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've heard that with us it's more like we have illegal immigrants and people will like threaten to report them to ICE and stuff if
Yeah,
they don't basically
yeah,
slave for them. Yeah.
yep. So as time dragged on, she felt sure she would die there, she recalled. The sun was too much, she said. Yeah, the third-story rooftop in the fucking desert of Saudi Arabia. The sun was too much, she said. Hot, no food, I lost control. Um, the scar on Miss Nascimenta's back from spinal surgery after she jumped from the roof.
Wow.
Third story. Oh my god. She jumped, landing hard. I crawled out like a snake to the street, she said. Passers-by took her to a hospital where, medical records show, doctors repaired her spine. She reported the abuse to doctors and the police, she said, but they told her to return to work.
Oh my God. These people have no humanity.
No. Miss Nascimenta refused, and the Saudi placement agency returned her to Uganda in 2023. In chronic pain and incontinent, she cannot work. Friends and relatives are raising her children. My life is destroyed, she said.
And it just makes you
So,
think about how deeply ingrained this is into the culture for
right.
everyone from the kids to the parents, the doctors, police,
Mhm.
government, everybody.
Yeah, all of the after effects she's suffering with makes me wonder if the surgeons, because of who she was, did like a Frankenstein job on her. You know, I don't know how serious her injuries was, but like, why is she incontinent and in chronic pain? Like, did they just like give her the Walmart special or something? Like, what
Yeah.
happened?
Ugh.
And I wouldn't think that normally, but then everybody else around her is such an unbelievable evil bastard that
Yeah.
you just have to wonder, you know, you have to wonder, like, did she get substandard care at that hospital because she was basically a slave and
Yeah.
they didn't care about her?
So, Saudi law says that when a worker needs to go home, an employer, recruiter, or the Saudi government is obligated to pay. Under no circumstances does a worker bear any financial responsibilities for repatriation, wrote Mr. Goldstein, the Saudi ministry spokesman. But workers and worker rights advocates say that laborers are often forced to pay. Those without money can be detained. Because visas are tied to employment, workers who leave their jobs can lose their legal status. To help address that, the Saudi government paid a company, Sakan, to provide housing and legal assistance to foreign workers in trouble. Hannah Najeri Miriam ended up at a Sakan center in 2022, about a year after she left Kenya's Rift Valley for Saudi Arabia. Miss Miriam's employers fired her after a dispute. Jobless and homeless, Sakan was the only place to go. Once there, according to her family, the staff said she could leave only if she paid about $300 for her travel. And when you're making $200 a month, like,
Yeah, and not even that anymore now.
yeah, exactly. She called home saying she was being mistreated and underfed. Nobody could afford to help. The Kenyan agency that had sent her abroad had gone out of business. Finally, her family got a call from another woman at the center. She said Miss Miriam had tried to escape through an air conditioning opening but had slipped and fallen 2 stories. A forensic report said that Miss Miriam had died of head wounds. The Saudi police later said that she died of congestive cardiac and respiratory failure. Sakan's chairman declined to comment. Yeah, I wonder how and why she got into that situation. That doesn't just happen.
Sounds like they put congestive cardiac and respiratory failure on there because it sounds natural, but what she really died of was falling and head wounds.
Right, and the result of that was congestive cardiac and respiratory failure.
Perhaps, but who even knows? Like,
yeah, who even knows? So Jackson Tutuma feared that work in Saudi Arabia was too dangerous, but his wife, Hannah, set off anyway. I begged her, Mr. Tutuma said. I was heartbroken. And then she died there.
Yeah.
Mr. Goldstein, the Saudi ministry spokesman, declined to comment on individual deaths, but said that every case was thoroughly investigated. He did not comment on the inconsistencies between autopsies and police reports and would not say how many people had been arrested or prosecuted in labor cases. I'm willing to bet that's probably none.
None. Have we even seen like them getting interrogated or investigated at all?
No.
No.
Mr. Goldstein said the government stopped funding Sakan in 2023. Now, he said, it pays the recruiting agency Smasco to run worker assistance centers. 3 Kenyan women spoke to the Times from inside a Smasco center. The women, who spoke on the condition of anonymity for fear of retaliation, said that they could not go home unless they paid about $400. The company did not respond. As migration to Saudi Arabia surged, reports of deaths and injuries spread across East Africa. Bodies began arriving. Each story brought new outrage. People should not have been surprised. The leaders of Kenya and Uganda had ample warning of abuse, yet they signed agreements with Saudi Arabia that lacked protections that other leaders demanded. The Philippines deal in 2012, for example, guaranteed a $400 a month minimum wage, access to bank accounts, and a promise that workers' passports would not be confiscated. Kenya initially demanded similar wages, according to a government report, but when Saudi Arabia balked, Kenya agreed to a deal in 2015 with no minimum wage at all.
Oh, so it could be zero.
It could be zero. The treaty contained little beyond a promise to establish a committee to monitor labor issues.
Oh,
The
God.
commission was never formed, a government report said.
So basically, they're like, yeah, we'll have a Zoom meeting about it. And then they just never scheduled the Zoom meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Mohammed, the Kenyan president's spokesman, said that the government later negotiated $225 monthly wages. He said Kenyan workers were simply not as highly regarded in Saudi Arabia. Wonder
Gee,
why
I
that could be.
wonder why.
The Philippines is able to dictate the price, he said. When-
I'm about to go a full John Wick on everybody out there.
Yeah.
For
I think,
real.
how do they actually enforce these agreements? I think
Right.
they don't. Yeah, they can't.
That's a good question, because even if they tried to have those agreements, how could they be enforced? How does the Philippines enforce it? That's what I want to know. Or do they?
Well, Saudi Arabia, it said earlier in the article that Saudi Arabia stopped so much of importing
Oh,
of Filipino workers
that's
because
right.
of these agreements.
Yes, yes.
So, when Uganda cut its agreement with the Saudi government, they made no mention of a minimum wage. The issue of worker mistreatment was well discussed at the time. The Saudi ambassador to Uganda even wrote a column in a Ugandan newspaper assailing critics who offend and abuse the kingdom of Saudi Arabia by publicizing abuse.
Oh, so talking about it means disrespect and you're abusing me. Okay.
Uh-huh.
It's like a
Yeah,
classic,
Darvo.
yeah, it's classic what abusers say, you know. Oh, if you tell people what's happening outside this house, you're
Yeah,
just as bad as I am.
yeah. So this is friends and family at the Nairobi airport in October with a hearse carrying the body of Lucy Nyambura Kimani. Ugh. Yeah. A label in Arabic on the coffin of Miss Kimani, who died while working in Saudi Arabia. In 2021, a Kenyan Senate committee found deteriorating conditions in Saudi Arabia and an increase in distress calls by those alleging torture and mistreatment. The committee recommended suspending worker transfers. When Mr. Ruto was elected president in 2022, though, the campaign to send workers abroad intensified. His government reached a new Saudi labor agreement the following year without a wage increase or substantive new protections. A new agreement without more money or more protections.
Yeah, why
Okay.
bother? Just leave the old
Why
one.
bother?
It's just a lot of nothing anyway.
It's a cycle of abuse that no one is addressing, said Stephanie Marigo, a Kenyan lawyer who represents workers. Now, a few times a month, rural Kenyans head to Nairobi to collect a coffin from the airport. Hundreds of people gathered in September at a village school in southwestern Kenya. They paid respects to Millicent Mora Abwoka, who had left her husband and young son behind months earlier. Her employer sexually harassed and assaulted her, her husband, Oboyusuman Ariba, said. Things got so bad last summer, he said, that she asked her Saudi recruiter to rescue her. A few days later, her husband got the call that she was dead. She was 24. The Kenyan government attributed her death to nerve issues.
Such horseshit.
Uh-huh. Like, oh, she reaches out for help and they're like, kill her.
Wow, yeah. You know, yeah, how many of these deaths are from the like the recruiting companies?
Right.
Maybe it's not just the families. Ugh. It's like the corruption is just everywhere.
Everywhere. Her employer, Abdullah Omar Abdul Al Rahman Halen, said that Mr. Ariba's account was misleading and incorrect and called the Times reporter a clown.
Yeah, okay.
At the
This is
funeral,
super credible.
yeah, right? Miss Aboka's body lay in an open coffin in a white dress and veil. Beside her was a 6-foot-tall photograph. In it, she smiles with her fingers held up in a V. She is standing outside the airport, brimming with optimism. So that's her grave. Oh, that's it. What a way to end. Yeah, she's standing outside the airport, brimming with optimism. And shortly after, she was dead.
My God.
Good times.
Yeah.
Let me. How do I? I'm gonna look and see if we can see some of the comments. Although I think you probably have to be logged in to do that. Maybe
For
not.
the labor market in Saudi Arabia in particular, I have kind of wondered about in the past. Just because, like, in this article, oh, he's coming, but like, I wonder what all of Saudi Arabia's agreements look like with other countries.
Right.
all that.
This sounds like a modern day slave trade, except all the people are fooled into believing that life will be better on the other side. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so an interesting observation as the editor on the story, this guy. The reporters found that, time and again, the women being recruited into the system were not merely desperate, they were the most industrious and ambitious, the ones who were willing to take big chances, to do hard work to better their families. Right, so, like, yes, they were desperate, but they were also, like, that's a big, scary thing to go across the world to
Yeah.
their country. Like, they were willing to do that and just had their hopes and dreams crushed.
Yeah.
We did not find many cases where women were pressured to go by family, but we did find several cases where women were in very bleak living situations involving abusive family members and seemed to feel that there was little downside to going to Saudi Arabia given how bad life was at home.
Oh, okay. The clarification too. Most, if not all, the workers we spoke with knew the risks. Okay, so it's not like they were kept the information was kept from them. They knew, but their life was so desperate at home that they probably were like, well, how could it get any worse, right?
Yeah. Uh, he says one of the things we encountered in our reporting was the hardship the women face when they return home. Some of them come back to abusive families and relatives who shun them and blame them for the horrors they endured. Some of them also used to send money home, thinking their families were investing on their behalf or buying a plot to build a house, only to realize those funds were misused. Many told us in confidence how they were ashamed to share, even those close childhood friends, the abuse they endured. As for Esther, she's doing fine at the moment. She helps her mother till the land and pick tea in the small farm, ensuring she doesn't face more abuse from her uncle. Good.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing we found, they know full well about the risks. People want economic opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the most dangerous thing I think people can think. And this is like like all people everywhere about anything is that they're going to always be the exception.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, even if these things happen, like, what are the odds that?
Right. Yeah. It seems like it's just a very human thing to think that it's not going to happen to you. Even though like everyone's telling you and you see it.
Oh, good question here. Why aren't the names of the employers of every woman in the article published? Why do they get to be anonymous? I said it's a good question. As you'll see near the end of the story, we do not keep all of the employers anonymous.
Yeah.
When
There
we
was
did
that
keep
one guy.
employers unnamed, it was due to reporting challenges. Even in cases where we had employment contracts and other documentation, employer names were sometimes misspelled or improperly transcribed.
Wonder why.
Hmm. Even police records often did not include the names of the people allegedly responsible for injuries. How convenient.
Yeah.
Is there widespread abuse there, or are these isolated and rare cases? Statistics are hard to come by. Yeah, for sure. I mean, as we read, it's all government corruption and cover up. So,
Right.
um,
Yeah, even that statistic you pulled up from Saudi Arabia, I was like, yeah, okay, really though? Really?
whoa. But looking at the data that we have reveals that roughly one domestic worker comes home dead from Saudi Arabia every week to Kenya alone.
Wow, no.
God, that's so crazy. Yeah, corrupt officials keep the scheme thriving. Poverty is a great motivator. Oh, of course, not all Saudi employers want to rape, assault, or kill their maids. Not all men.
No, not all Saudi employers.
Ay.
He didn't answer the question though. I found out that was very interesting. The person was like, well, surely some people must, go there, do their job, make their wages, and come back, and it's all good. And Matt didn't answer that question.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like where are the success stories here? Are there any?
Right. He didn't
Right.
say one way or the other.
Yeah, and also I'm thinking, even if, it's like everyone who goes there ends up murdered, but you could go there thinking you're gonna be in this house doing this job, and again, when they're ready for that turnover to happen, you could be shuttled off to anywhere and no one would know.
Yep.
Yeah, there's that. There's even if you're not beaten or raped or starved, like they could just not pay you
Uh-huh.
and then send you home, and then like you just wasted all that time doing free labor for people. Like that's like the best case scenario, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, and Pretty Woman was a documentary. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Oy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is crazy. Were you gonna say something, Expired Milk?
Okay, well, like I said before, I just wonder what Saudi Arabia's deals and relationships are with all the
Mm-hmm.
various countries. Because, of course, in my world, I hear about Saudi Arabia a lot just because they import so many Americans over for entertainment stuff. Like lots of the big music industry vendors have now opened offices over there. I regularly happen on people saying they took contracts in Riyadh and it was great. You just have to live in this compound and inside the
Eh.
compound, everything great, great. Then they put you on a bus to the venue, you do your thing, then it's back to the compound. And I'm like, well, what's happening outside the compound? Who built the compound? Who's working in the compound?
Right.
What's going on? It just always seemed eerie, even from like the high status Americans probably have going over there. But there's a reason why I never took contracts like that.
yeah. Ice Goddess says she needs to look at cat images and that she needs brain bleach.
Mhm.
Ice Goddess, I came to this stream with a glass of neat scotch
Mhm.
because I knew I would need it.
Yeah. Hold on.
Mm.
Um. Freaking streaming. Ugh. Working out the kinks.
It's just not your night tonight with the tech issues, huh?
No.
Baby.
There's some cute kittens.
No.
The kittens are telling me that sometimes vengeance is in fact the answer.
What's that cat meme where there's a kitten and it says like, "Father, I crave violence." Yes, I want that one.
Ooh. Alpha says you should listen to this podcast called Polite Conversations. The host is a Pakistani born Canadian who grew up in one of those Saudi compounds.
Oh, the compound.
I hear the word compound, I just think of cult.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
When I was younger, I did start a mini international incident at the Saudi Arabian embassy.
You did?
Oh my God. I think I remember you told me this like ages and ages ago.
Yeah, I ended up writing about it too, just because I think it's a funny story. But
What happened?
oh well, I was at international relations camp in Washington D.C. and
Of
on
course
one
you.
of our days, yeah, because I was a weeb, and they were like, "Well, maybe if you learn Japanese, you can become an ambassador someday. Go to international relations camp." So we were down there at a college. I was maybe like 13. And one day they said, "Yeah, we're taking a trip to the Saudi Arabian embassy." And on the way over there, they mentioned, "Oh yeah, like remember that when you're there, you're technically in a different country, so they're gonna have different rules, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Whatever. When's lunch?" Um,
Wait, how old were you?
like 12 or 13.
Okay.
And so this would have been like 2006, 2007, something like that. And we get there and like we're all filed into this mini auditorium, and then the teacher's like, okay, boys sit in the front, girls sit in the back. And
Oh
I was like,
boy.
huh? Now keep in mind, I prefer sitting in the back. However,
Yeah.
I was
Not
like, why
being
are you
told to
telling
sit
me
in
to
the
sit in the
back.
back? Yeah. So I was like, why are we doing this? And they're like, oh, well, it's just the rules here that, boys and girls need to remain separate, and then the boys will just have the front row. And I was like, I don't agree with that, actually. And then I just start arguing with my teacher, who's like, well, the people coming in, this is how they instruct us to do things. Remember, you're not in America right now. Of course, we're in downtown DC, so I'm like, we're definitely in America. Stop pulling on me. But yeah, and then like these guys, they start coming in to set up this video to show us how great Saudi Arabia is, and eventually I just run past the teacher and like sit in one of the front rows, and I don't move, and then everyone's just looking at me, but no one said anything. So I said, "Ha, I did
Yeah.
it.
Good.
I've did my small act of rebellion for this 10-minute long video."
That is crazy. Oh, you.
Much easier to do in downtown DC than in the actual country.
Actual. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you guys talking about here, Sweet D and Helga? Completely sick how they sold different races of women for different prices. Yeah. Look at this one.
Which one?
Oh, you can't see my mouse? That's annoying.
No.
In the pink hat in the middle.
Oh.
Just
Oh wait, I
I
can
saw
see
a
it now.
cat. Oh yes, thank you all for my very tiny act of preteen rebellion.
You're based. Ice Goddess declares you based.
So based.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I listened. This is tangentially related, I guess. But does anyone listen to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History?
Mm-mm.
He does a podcast about crazy shit in history, but like he only puts out like maybe 2 or 3 episodes a year because he works so long and so hard on them. But he did one on the Atlantic slave trade that was like 6 hours long. Like it's essentially like an audio documentary, right? And it was really good. I mean, obviously horrible, but like I just really learned a lot. Heavy to listen to, of course, but I learned a lot from that podcast.
Yeah, these days, I'm just kind of waiting with dread to see how much in the African American Museum at the Smithsonian is going to be declared anti-American and thus taken off display.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, aren't they already reinstating like Confederate statues and everything?
Yeah, and the director of the museum was either removed or resigned. Different places are reporting different things.
Quote unquote resigned, as in
Yeah.
forced to resign.
Most likely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. They're from the museums and even the zoo, I think. And of course, the Kennedy Center. There's a directive to scrub anything that is deemed anti American. No one has defined what anti American means, of course.
Right.
Wait, Lee, you say I have the best what the fuck face? Can you see me?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe from your other videos.
Maybe from my videos, yeah. I'm just like, I'm sitting here like scratching my butt because I don't think anyone can see me. So I really want to know. Like,
I'm here in the 3-day long indent of my hotel couch.
I know, right? I'm just like rotting in bed. I'm like, muting my mic because I have to
You
burp
and the
and
coucher
shit.
one.
Like, are you guys seeing me? Oh God.
Oh, Man, when do you go back to work? Expired milk?
Tonight we have a 1 a.m. bus call to take us to our next destination.
1 a.m.
Yeah, well, the buses have beds in them, so it's
Oh
like
yeah, I know. But why not like 10 or 11 p.m.? Like why the actual middle of the night?
because
Yeah,
I
right.
plan it so that we get to the venue 1 hour before access. If we get there too early and the bus drivers are just sitting there and then they get grumpy. So people have the
Oh,
option to get on the bus at 10, like it's right outside. They can get on whenever they want, but wheels move
um,
at 1 a.m.
I have a question, I guess, about tour life and bus life. When and where do the bus drivers sleep?
They sleep in hotels during the day. So actually, as soon as the stream is done, I'm gonna call tomorrow's hotel and be like, "Hey, I'm so and so. I'm tour managing this thing, and we have these two bus drivers that these rooms are for. They drive overnight, sleep during the day. We totally love like a 7 a.m. check-in because at 10 p.m. they
Oh,
got to." And then usually I can get it if it's not sold out. Sometimes I'll offer them free tickets, and I'll make besties with the night shift so that they can make me keys even if they're not technically supposed to. It's a whole song and dance.
interesting.
Yeah.
The
Um,
Saluki dogs.
yeah, Lamb asked me to look. I know, expired milk is so cool.
I know.
I'm
You all
sure it
live
all sounds
vicariously.
nice. The
No,
day to day.
So, so every day that you get to a new city, like the bus drivers go to a hotel.
Mhm.
Do you
Yeah,
always? I guess you must always travel overnight, not during the day, right?
correct. Like sometimes we'll do a day trip. Like a week or so ago, it was only a 2 hour drive to the next place, and we had the day off before. So I said, okay, we'll stay at the hotel until 8 a.m. and then we can all eat breakfast and then we can get to the venue by 10 or whatever and it'll be fine. So that was
Interesting.
nice. But yeah, usually it's you go to bed in one city and you wake up in another one.
Interesting. Do you sleep well on a tour bus, or does it take time for you to adjust every time, or what?
I've always slept really well on tour buses. Like it's like a bunk, and you have
Yeah.
a curtain. So I say once you close the curtain, it's like going back into the womb. You just
Yeah.
it's so
Enveloped.
dark and quiet. Like that. There's no windows. We kind of call it a coffin. There's no way to know what's happening outside.
Mm.
So
And
I always
can you
yeah.
like? Do you hear like the white noise of like the bus rumble or whatever?
Yeah, you can hear the engine, the
Yeah.
road. Some people really can't sleep on tour buses. Like they need to always take sleeping aids and have noise canceling, whatever. But
Yeah.
to me, it always came pretty easily.
Yeah. So interesting.
Rachel asked what we all wanted to be when we were kids, when we grew up.
Oh.
I wanted to be a doctor for a long time. But I never, but as I grew older, I was much more inclined to the history, social studies, English realm than the sciences. So, but as a kid, I always said doctor.
Hmm.
What
And then,
about you? Sorry.
no, no, I was going to say, and then I became a social worker and I work with adults who are experiencing homelessness, addiction, using street drugs, um, experiencing prostitution or being prostituted. Uh, and it's the best, and I'm glad I'm not a doctor.
Hmm.
What about you two?
I think expired milk wanted to be something Star Wars related.
Star Wars did impact a lot of my career goals. That is true.
We're talking about when you were a kid now.
Yes. So
Not now where you dream of being a federal agent who like
Yeah, well,
dives under laser beams.
see, the common thread is that I always wanted an action-packed job. So
Oh,
my first career goal was military. I was, 8 when 9/11 happened, so that was a big thing there. And then a couple years later, because I was obsessed with this movie called Boondock Saints, I wanted to
Oh,
join
God.
the Irish
Norman.
Mafia. And then my dad told me I couldn't join the Irish Mafia because I wasn't Irish, and I just felt that
That's a
was
small issue there.
yeah, I felt that was really he was limiting me. And then I switched to wanting to be an engineer again because of Star Wars. I figured, oh, I could build the Death Star. Again, the message of Star Wars kind of went over my head. And then somewhere I landed on music. And Lee asked earlier if people hook up on the bus. It has been known to happen, but logistically it's a bit complicated. So I usually wait for the off days.
yes.
What
Well,
did
your
you
job is.
What
Oh,
did you
sorry.
want? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, expired milk. Your job is action packed now, though.
It
Maybe not
is.
in the way that you wanted it to be, but there's always some shit going down.
True. And it is true that earlier in my career, I was in hindsight, quite risky situations that I probably should have avoided more. But, things
Well,
have leveled out now.
you live and
But I
you
am
learn.
open to being in the CIA.
Yes. Yes. I hope you get in.
Yeah, I can be the person on the inside. So if I gotta bring down the whole system, I can do it.
Just push the
Oh,
big red button once you get in
yeah.
there.
So CIA, you're listening, right? Yeah.
They're always
Respond to
watching.
my inquiry. Thank you.
Well, I wanted to be a comic artist, an animator, or a voice actor for animation. And none of those dreams came true. And I work in accounts payable. So,
Good times. That's really cute.
yeah. Well, I used to draw a lot and make comics and stuff like that. So, haven't done it in about 10 years.
I'm surprised that Lee knows the Star Wars deep cut of Admiral Dala. I do love her. All my favorite Star Wars characters are Imperials, so I don't know what this is about me. I just like organization and efficiency.
And they have better uniforms, let's be real.
They have excellent uniforms, always traveling in style, always have a sharp thing to say to rebel scum.
Rebel scum. That's funny.
I will say at International Relations Camp that same year as the embassy incident, I also made my own dictatorship in our group simulation. And I won the simulation, and the teachers were upset because I won as a dictator. I'm like, look, I have been informed by so many sci-fi franchises. There was no way I wasn't going to win.
That's nice of you, Tori. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I never think of myself as interesting. I think I'm quite boring. Like in a good way, though.
Yeah.
You know?
Me too.
You're cool. You're cool.
Yeah, you're very cool.
No, you're cool, Expire Milk. Come on.
You're both very cool.
Well, I think you're cool too. Everyone's cool.
We should start a band.
I can sing.
Oh yeah, lead singer.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I can't do shit else.
I have rhythm section covered, so I guess Radical will need to do the guitar.
Oh
solos.
boy, that is never gonna happen. I have no musical talent at all. I can sing, I think, a little bit, but not that great.
Yes.
You just gotta believe in yourself.
Actually, no. I was
Okay, Lamb, I'm also Team Fire Nation. Okay.
well, I'm just saying, like I was in the all states for vocals, like growing up. So some people just can't They can't sing. I'm sorry. I just hate to break
Yeah.
it to you.
I did like theater. Like I went to a fine arts school. So it was all about like art and performance and stuff. But
Yes.
no.
Well, no, that'd be like copyright infringement on Rusty. We can't do that.
Yeah. She would let us.
We'd have
Rusty
to get
can
her
be in the
permission.
band.
Yeah, does she play anything?
I don't think so.
Capricorn, no.
No. I don't think she does anything musical.
No.
I'll ask her.
Musical theater is always a fun time. I thought in high school people were just being dramatic because they were teenagers,
No.
but now in the professional world, I can confirm that they are still as dramatic,
Yeah.
if not more.
I tried, like, I was a chorus and like, art class geek, but I tried to get in with the theater kids too, and we did not mesh. Like, they were very extra, and I was like, oof.
Yeah.
It's very loud, and so begins the cultural divide between cast and crew.
Yeah.
Poor lamb. Where's the orange bat stuff coming from?
Oh
In our was it the last stream? You
Yeah.
could probably
Most recently in the last stream.
the most recent last stream, I told a story from my teenagehood about sum it up. Short version is when I was in high school in the early 2000s, the only other gay kid at my school asked me if I knew what furries were, and then showed me furry art of an orange bat getting railed against an alley wall. And
Railed.
well, he was. And so
It was
yeah,
under a street light, okay?
that's
You
the
got to include the
stream lore.
details.
That's the stream.
And I was like
She'll
15,
never forget
and
the
I was
street
like,
light.
well, this is the thing that just happened to me.
Horrified. And now you remember it, even in your 30s. Stay innocent. No, it's done. She'll never be the same.
I think we should have like a tune that pops up as we enter the furry segment of each stream.
There's always a furry segment.
Thank you, Tapeworm, for filling in for me.
We should have just waited for Tapeworm.
Yeah, thank you, Tapeworm.
Oh, that's right. You forgot the iconic line.
Sometimes I imagine I'm the orange one.
No. Just brings it all home.
Oh, listen, I had to live it in real life.
I hope you run into that person again
Oh
someday.
my God. He's like, on his Instagram account, he's like in his little like fursuit all the time. He's of course a fox because they all are.
Y'all in your late 30s.
Wow, so this is really a lifelong commitment.
But he spells it Fawkes, fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
OBB PTSD.
Oh yeah, that's the lore of my teenage trauma.
Maybe Tori, maybe somebody will make like a furry segment compilation of the streams.
Right.
So we can have them all together. Yes, exactly, Lee. We said this in the last stream too. Yeah. If any man just messages you that's like, hey, can I ask you a question? Enlightened female, yes, he was.
No.
Yes,
a gay
he
boy,
and
yeah.
I were the only known gay kids at our Catholic high school in the early 2000s. And so we were kind of forced to be somewhat friends because of that. And then, yeah.
Hey, before this incident, you guys were cool.
Yes.
But then he decided to tell you that sometimes he wished that he was the orange bat, and that changed things forever.
That do be happening sometimes.
It just be like that sometimes.
It was a critical turning part in radical.
It was a
point in
core
Radical's history.
memory.
Yeah, for all the wrong reasons. Ugh. I'll never forget it. Ever.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Good times.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times with dudes, it's just best to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, can I ask you something? Can I show you
No.
something? No.
Uh,
Yeah.
That's why I had to tell myself at the laundromat in Mississippi this week. I said, my instinct is to stab this guy, but I'm not. Just gonna walk away.
We're looking at stingrays right now,
De-escalation.
Chaperman.
Yeah.
Where have you been?
How did you do that? Did someone else ask for them?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Oh, I must have missed it because I was like, did you anticipate the
No.
stingrays?
They've been up.
No, I have not been paying attention, obviously. I've been thinking
Yeah.
about.
Ice Goddess. I came out when I was 15, and that was 2003. And I was in grade 10, or 10th grade, as Americans would say. Or no, you guys would say, what's the word? I don't know, freshman, sophomore.
Sophomore?
You'd be
What's
probably.
Yeah, sophomore.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Well, anyway. But yeah, I came out and it was in Catholic school, but you know, sometimes you just gotta do it.
Yep. You got to be true.
Mm-hmm. Good times.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Unless you've got bat art, you can keep
Yeah,
that under
I know.
Mm.
I think who was it? Oh yeah, Tori was like, I can trust her. But like there's a limit to that kind of thing. Like maybe don't show your young lesbian friend graphic bat art.
Right.
You know?
Ooh, Lee is calling the bat event your Endor event. Lee, I really appreciate all your Star Wars
I don't know what that
references, and
means.
you are real.
You guys could be friends.
Salute to you.
Star Wars.
Yeah, Lee, you like Star Wars? I love Star Wars. Are you excited for Andor season 2? It's gonna be another step-by-step guide for how to overthrow the government, which is great.
Ice Goddess wants to request baby bats, but they may trigger you. Radical.
What's an Endor event, though?
The Battle of Endor is the closing battle of the original Star Wars trilogy. So that's where the evil emperor was defeated.
Oh.
Yes. Ah.
Oh,
Actually,
so cute.
The furries need to leave the bats alone.
Honestly. Look at them and their little bunches, their little swaddles.
you know what you should look up next? Fennec foxes.
Oh man, they're cute, hey.
Well, Lamb, low-key, whenever anything even mildly inconvenient happens in my life, I'm like, and then the Fire Nation attacked.
Oh, I love them. Oh, they're so
No,
cute.
Lee.
I did see that too. I was going to say something, but I didn't.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Honduran
Well, these are cute, but I'm still freaked out about this whole dire genetic engineering thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know because they've said they were going to make woolly mammoths forever now. It's really just elephants with like slight woolly mammoth altering. So
Yeah.
this, like, oh, we're totally going to make real dire wolves. I'm
Yeah.
like, are these slightly altered regular wolves?
I'm just saying Jurassic Park. That's all I'm saying.
This is a punk rock hyena.
I know, right? The wolf.
Cute. Oh, it's okay, enlightened female. No, I think it's hilarious these days. It was definitely a moment, but it's really funny now to just be like, oh boy.
Oh, Lee, Star Wars was your Harry Potter. I mean, I like Star Wars. I like Harry Potter. I'm a Ravenclaw, so I'm told. And going to the Harry Potter park and buying my robes was great. And when I bought the prefect pin, when I was at checkout, the guy was like, "Wow, making prefect in Ravenclaw is very difficult. You must have been working very hard." I said, "I have been working very hard. Thank you."
Yeah, I'm kind of the mind of alfalfa. I think it's kind of just scientific sensationalism, like the whole
Yeah.
direwolf. I don't know, because they. I mean, it was the same thing with the woolly mammoths. You know, they're just trying to get clicks and people to be like, "Oh my God, direwolves, just like in Game of Thrones."
I'm just saying, it only takes one crazy scientist to unleash
To
something out into the wild.
play
All of a
God where
sudden,
he should not have played God.
yeah, and now we have like a giant lizard beast that can breathe
Unkillable.
fire.
Yeah. You know, there's one thing growing up in the ancient times that I kind of miss from like the younger generations is we didn't have the fandom watershed moments, really, like the whole Harry Potter craze and
Hmm.
like I mean, we had Star Wars, you know, it was the 80s, but like it
What
wasn't
about
to the level.
not fictional media, but what about like Michael Jackson? I would think
Oh
would
yeah.
be
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Madonna. Yeah. But
Madonna.
that was only it was only if you were like into music. You know,
Mm,
everybody liked Michael Jackson, but like unless you were really into bands and music, it wasn't like you were just totally like you know, the Harry Potter fans, they buy the
yeah,
robes and the wands and they got the pins and all the books and like they go to the
right.
conventions and they you know, like it wasn't really like that unless you were just and obviously had to be older like no kid in the 80s, which I was going to like Michael Jackson concerts without their
Right.
parents.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I feel like Harry Potter, like, I wouldn't even consider Harry Potter to be a nerd thing because everyone was reading it. So maybe that's what you're saying.
Totally.
Like, really, everyone was reading it. Even with Star Wars, you know, I never met a Star Wars fan until I was out of college. Somehow.
yeah. I mean, that's
But
true. I think it's a lot of that spurred by the online culture, like even the early online culture, where people from all over the world and country and stuff can just get together and just love Harry Potter or whatever.
mm,
And we just didn't have that. Like you were fans of stuff, but like the fandom wave, like the big wave of it, just didn't exist.
yeah. Or if I think of stuff where you come into school and everyone would be talking about it, one would be the Harry Potter book release, but then there was stuff like Survivor and American Idol and
Mm,
kind of
hmm.
events like that.
Yeah, there was some of that too. Yeah. I remember that the kids would talk about shows, you know, like Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Simpsons was a big topic back in the 90s because their parents wouldn't let them watch it. So, of course, they all watched it in secret.
Yeah. Oh no.
Oh yes, Lamb, it's great you're in the Star Wars fandom, but it is true that many people in the Star Wars fandom are insufferable.
Yeah. It's like full of incels and dude bros,
Yeah.
the neckbeards.
Ugh.
Mhm.
All the bullies love Marvel and K-pop.
K-pop
Wow, has the culture shifted so much? I know I
connections.
was
Poor.
I was like surprised when I went into Hot Topic just as a joke, maybe about 6 months ago, and they were playing K-pop.
Yeah, it used to be like a total alternative store.
Yeah.
Like when I was a teenager, like it was all about punk rock.
Mhm.
But not anymore.
Mm-mm. Anime only really hit here when I was already grown.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember being in my 20s and thinking it was so cool because I've always been a big animation fan. Like I was the one that in the 80s and 90s I would find that like obscure copy of Akira like at Blockbuster and rent it and watch it. 'Cause that was like the only thing available as far as anime goes, or like Golgo 13 or some other shitty piece of crap.
Yeah, by the time I came up, it was all about Toonami on Cartoon Network. That was
Oh, I love Toonami.
the anime block of time. It took me a few years to realize the Japanese show.
Yeah.
Once
Oh, you're kind of cutting out, expired milk. Oh,
Oh,
we're losing
yeah.
her.
Expired milk.
Oh, you're back.
Okay, yeah, I think the Wi-Fi blipped.
Yes,
Can you hear
we
me?
can now.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I was never an anime
Yeah.
girl. I mean, I watched, of course, Sailor Moon and Pokemon as a child, but that's literally the only anime I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything other than Pokemon and Sailor Moon.
I was into it for a time in my 20s, but I kind of outgrew it. Sorry, all you anime fans out there. It's just like, I don't know. It kind of feels like once you've seen a few anime, you've seen them all pretty much. Because they all use the same tropes and
also,
like, you know.
Yeah, then like the new era comes that kind of repeats the same stories. But I did my friend, she works Otakon a lot. It's a popular anime convention. She asked me to come down there to work the booth with her. It sells K-pop CDs. So I said, well, I feel like these days I know more about what's happening in K-pop than in anime. She says, no, you can work the anime side. Nothing has changed. And yeah, they were selling stuff from all the same TV shows I was watching in like 2008, plus like maybe one or two new ones like Attack on Titan. I said, "Wow, we're really still all about Death Note, huh?"
Yeah, right. It's like all it's
about Naruto.
Talk about Bleach, Death Note.
Yeah, so y'all haven't come up with anything new.
Naruto, still big.
Yeah, I've heard of those ones, but
yeah,
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, Ice Goddess, that's true. There was a lot of misogyny in it, and back when I was in my 20s, I could avoid it to a point, or tolerate it to a point, I could say. But every time, okay, let's put it this way: every time I got recommended an anime because of the quote "amazing female characters" unquote,
Oh boy.
Oh no.
It was always like, unless we're talking about the very rare few, like Spirited Away, which I love still to this day, right? But like most of the time, it was just anime women that were always one type, like an archetype. There were many different archetypes, but she always fell into one of them.
Right.
And that's not amazing character writing. And the archetypes were often insulting and like misogynistic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got tired of it. Like, I didn't quit anime because of the misogyny. It was more that I just got tired of like it. First of all, they can't really write plots to save their life. Like they always flub the ending. Like they don't know how to like write themselves into a good ending and the character development, because they got to keep it going, right? They got to keep the anime going. So nothing ever really happens like for the main plot. And I was just like, man, this will never end. Never end.
Yeah, the shonen animes definitely go on forever.
Yeah.
But every now and then, there's like those like 12, 13 episode ones that are usually pretty brief. But
Those
yeah, I would never.
Yeah.
If I think of anime, I'm definitely not thinking of groundbreaking female characters. That's for sure.
No, exactly. I mean,
I'm thinking of good fights.
I still like, like stuff like Cowboy Bebop. I mean, I'm not like a super fan of it or anything, but like I can appreciate that it had a story to tell and it ended it, and like it was a small contained series. It was well done, I guess. But yeah, these like 200 plus endless animes, I'm just like, oh my god, I can't.
Yeah, I attempted a Naruto rewatching last summer.
Oh yeah, that's right. You never did update.
And I got pretty far. But when I was watching it, I was like recalling, because of course I watched it all as it was airing in real time, but I haven't revisited it since 2006 or whatever. So I was like, oh, all this stuff that it feels like took me years to get to as a kid, I've gotten to after only a week or two of binging. But no, I never got through. I'll still maybe this summer. I feel like in the summer, in August, I have a lull, and that's when I can just do the nostalgia rewatches. So we'll see.
Nice.
I never finished Naruto. I've heard rumors about how it ends, but I haven't seen it myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know this is just super dumb, but I'll never not be a fan of Dragon Ball because I just love it. I know it's like a testosterone fest that is terrible most of the time, but there's something about it that I'll never hate. Like I'm not going to sit down and watch it, all the time, but I always have a special place in my heart for it, even though it's super dumb.
Yeah, I watched a lot of Dragon Ball. That was the one my dad liked to watch. He was like, "These animes are weird, but Dragon Ball's pretty cool." I'm like, okay.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z and all that stuff. Something about it, I just liked it.
Yeah, and I was a Yu-Gi-Oh card collector.
Oh, I could never get over his hair. What's up with that? It's like, do you have to make it so weird though?
Yeah, I was just because at one point I even got the thing to put on your arm that you could put the cards on, and I'd be like, "Yo, like in the show, I could be pulling out cards forever, but here I gotta reload every 2 seconds because, unfortunately, this is reality."
That's so cute.
I mean, I still know people who play Pokemon Go to this day.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I haven't heard about Pokemon Go in a while. It's like at one point everyone was on it and falling into fountains and walking in front of buses, and then
Yeah.
I guess the middle-aged crowd, which is what I'm part of,
Yep.
and who are the people I'm talking about, love it.
Yeah. My former best friend and her wife, they go to like Pokemon Go Fest every year,
Yeah.
wherever it is. They're super into it.
yes, Ice Goddess is a Inuyasha fan.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Despite the fact that I have probably watched at minimum 80 episodes of Inuyasha, I could not tell you anything about the show.
Oh, it's not the worst.
Except there's a girl and she pretends she's sick. There's a well. There's a dog man.
Yep. That's pretty much it. You
Yeah.
nailed it.
But I remember mostly because my best friend was so thirsty for Shishomaru.
Oh God. Yep.
Every single day. Her whole locker, Shishomaru.
That is so funny. I don't know any of these references at all.
I'm sorry, Radical. I
No,
know
it's fine.
we've had anime tangents on stream before, and you're like, "Oh my God, I don't know what it is. What the fuck are you guys talking about?"
Rock
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, Ice Goddess. I actually like Berserk. I know it's very bad femme take, but yeah, I do. It's very inappropriate and violent and awful. Yeah, not so much the early episodes of it, but the later manga is good. So
Let's see, one of my favorite animes was Paranoia Agent.
oh yeah, I remember
It
watching
would
that.
come on at 4 a.m. on Toonami, and I would be so afraid to watch it because it's a creepy show. But once you get through
Yeah.
it,
Talk about things that you watch and then you don't remember. The only thing I remember, there's a kid with a baseball bat who goes around
yeah.
like, killing people with it. So
Oh my god.
But plot twist: is he real or is he just a manifestation?
yeah, but I'm about to geek out now though because that was all the 2000s anime. It was all that. It's all that like, but was it actually real? Or hey man, like they just hitting the blunt and they're like, oh, but what is reality, man? Like Serial Experiments Lane was the same way. I'm like, can you guys think of something else, please?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just nerd ranting right now.
Yeah,
That was part of it. Part of the reason why anime was like, ugh, can we just like have an actual definitive plot with like a resolution instead of being like, but was it an illusion? Was it all a dream?
That sort of like resolution of whether it's anime or any other kind of medium of like, ooh, it was all a dream. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, or like they devolve into some
Yeah.
philosophical, like existential bullshit. And despite my name, I actually don't like that in my stories. Like I like an actual story, you know?
Yeah, isn't that how? So like, I've never watched Lost before, but I feel like what was the ending like? Oh no, it was a dream. Did that happen? I feel like
I have no idea.
It's less like
yeah.
ultimately that was just a dream and more like the Neon Genesis Evangelion thing of like just doing the psychological freak out at the end where like there's all this imagery and you don't know what the fuck's going on and like that's how the
Mhm.
film resolves with like a big nothing burger of just like just nothing.
Your microphone is in your sweater again.
No. Sorry. It's probably telling me to stop geek ranting on your stream.
No, I don't mind at all.
It's like, girl, that's enough. Bring it back.
But you know, for anyone in the chat looking to get into Star Wars, you know, I know Star Wars has some reputation. But if you look at the Star Wars books, there's Star Wars books of every genre. There's romance, there's horror, there's like hardcore sci-fi, there's fantasy. So if you ever want to
Bit
jump
of
into Star
everything.
Wars, yeah, just like let me
Got a
know and I
little
can
something for everyone.
yeah. And of course, you know, I read everything anyway, so it's only through Star Wars that I'm doing some genre hopping.
Very good. What's your favorite piece of Star Wars media, whether it be book, show, movie?
Oh wow. Well, for a long time, the book Outbound Flight was my favorite. It was made as a prequel to the original Thrawn trilogy. Uh, but then, once Disney wiped the canon clean and restarted the books, once again, the same author, Timothy Zahn, came out with the first of the new canon Thrawn trilogy, titled Thrawn, came out in 2017. And that is the book that gave me my favorite Star Wars character, Eli Vanto, the logistics and supply officer in the Empire, who I relate to on a spiritual level because he's like, numbers, spreadsheets, don't mess with my system. And I just
Very
really,
nice.
yeah. So I often revisit that book, the audiobook specifically. It's a very nice audiobook.
Aw,
There you
very good.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Enlightened Female says she's curious about Star Wars, but there's too much, so I don't touch it. And that's back in the webcomic era. They used to call that archive panic, where you'd go to a comic you wanted to read, and it's like fucking 1,000 pages, and you're like, nope.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing about Star Wars is if you don't know where to start, just start with the first movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Can't really go wrong with the original 1977 Star Wars. It's a classic.
Yeah. I actually just showed people on my bus. We just finished the original trilogy. And contrary to what other people say, I did not tell them to watch Star Wars. They volunteered to watch Star Wars. Decided to join them in the watching of the Star Wars.
Just
Yes.
worked out in your favor supremely.
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Ugh. Well, do you have hotel rooms to book expired milk?
Oh yeah, I have to call tomorrow's hotel, and the next episode of Daredevil is out now, so
You've got
the
places to
nurses
be and
are
things to do.
calling. Yeah.
What are
Oh,
you doing the rest of the week, Existential Gamer?
I'm just working,
Same.
chilling, living life. Lamb asked, I think she's asking expired milk if you're an INTJ, Myers-Briggs type. I think you're an S.
Yeah, so I half the time it's ISTJ and the
Yeah.
other half is INTJ. And I
I
don't really
don't
know the difference.
remember what mine was.
Yes. I've
Speaking
I've
of
been told that
geeky
both are
things.
not fun, but I feel like I'm a very fun person.
No, that's just stereotypes.
Yeah.
No, no,
Do you
no.
guys think Han when she's orange bat?
Does Han want to be the orange bat sometimes?
I mean, Han Solo, maybe not. Lando Calrissian,
Perhaps. Yes.
perhaps.
Maybe.
Lando Calrissian had the hots for a droid, so
Yeah, yeah. He's pretty open-minded.
Oh, how's the house hunting going?
Oh, yeah. So we have money saved, a substantial amount actually, and we will be talking to real estate agents soon.
ooh.
Yep. So
You
it's
wanna get
going.
the front porch? Oh no!
Yeah.
Hi, Rusty.
Oh wait, the Rusty got chosen by Dan.
Yeah. Rusty.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I guess-
Yeah. Well, you'd
Yeah,
be wise to do so.
I asked Rusty, "Are you musically inclined in any way?" And she said, "I like to sing and can play a few songs on guitar. I was in some musicals in high school." And then she said, "Let me know what the verdict is and where I'm being placed in the band."
Well, if she can kind of play guitar, you can be like a guitar and like vocals too, like
Perfect.
backup vocals.
Nice.
Maybe Radical. Maybe we can have you like slap a tambourine or something.
Okay, I can do that. I can definitely do that. Yeah, I don't have anything else going on this week. I'm house sitting right now. Ugh, and this is so funny, but I'm in a house that I have sat at before. And this house has the most wonderful, glorious, comfiest bed I have ever slept in my entire life.
Oh,
It's so good. But this sit, I'm so sad. It's just Monday to Friday, so I don't get any sleep-ins or like naps in the comfy bed because I just have to get up for work every morning.
yeah.
So sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm doing that, and then on Friday I'm going to another sit, but just until Sunday. So yeah, that's it.
Maybe you can ask them what brand that mattress is.
Well, so sometimes when I am at a house sit and the bed is particularly good, I will peel the sheets back and like look at what the mattress is.
Yeah. And what kind is this one?
I don't actually remember. It's in my phone somewhere. I took a picture
Oh,
of the
okay.
tag thing, but I'll have
Yeah,
to.
I'm in the market for a new mattress soon, personally.
But the thing is, when I looked at the mattress, it's just like a mattress, but it's so good for some reason. Anyway,
Well,
so yeah, let's see. Probably will stream later toward the end of this week, Thursday/Friday/Saturday. Who knows? Yeah, that's all.
okay.
So I'll let Expired Milk go book her hotel rooms and watch Daredevil.
Yeah.
And thanks for joining us on this stream, everyone.
Yeah.
It was a heavy topic, but it's important that those women's stories get more exposure. And it's important for us to all know what women around the world are going through. So thanks for that. And then thanks for being wonderful in the after chat, because that's always fun. And everyone is so silly and smart and brilliant and enjoyable. And
Yes.
yeah, it's wonderful. So, thanks, Lee. Like, share, and subscribe.
Remember to smash that like button.
Yeah, like,
Hit the
subscribe.
bell notification.
Yeah, leave a comment. Thank you all. We will be back always and forever. Thanks, Rusty. Okay.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye.
Make good choices.